Have you noticed that the mainstream media always use the same words to smear people, and then in congressional hearings they don't care about the truth, they just care about propaganda? Is something going on? Hello there, you 6.3 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me on this voyage to truth and freedom. Within you there is the Empyrean light that illuminates all things. Awaken it within yourself. Stay true to yourself. Continue to form new alliances. Turn on the notification bell right now. We make this content every single day and we want you to see it all. There are brave souls out there. Do not lose hope. You are one of them. Matt Taibbi, the journalist and investigative reporter, is no doubt one of them too. He spoke to us exclusively about his experiences before that congressional hearing and told us how that skirmish and that brush with authority made him even more certain that centralized corruption is the religion of the neoliberal elite. Stay to the end of this conversation and remember to share this video widely, because it's by sharing this message that you help to grow our movement. Let us know in the chat and the comments what I missed and where I'm going wrong. I want to learn from you.
Now, having spent some time in the company of so-called entertainers and so-called radicals, why don't we invite onto the show a so-called journalist, the author of Hate Inc., Why Today's Media Makes Us Despise One Another. That's a so-called book. And also he appeared as one of Elon Musk's stooges when releasing the vital information that... Cherry-picked information that appeared on, when you look at it superficially, to reveal that there was some collaboration between the deep state and social media. All right, Matt, how's it going?
It's going great, Russell. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. Are you tired? Are you all right? Are you exhausted?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I was listening intently to your show there. I love the Hillary Clinton stuff. I think isn't that a natural sitcom?
The Clintons.
Yeah, like a sort of a get a life type of thing, like Hillary Clinton on a bike delivering newspapers or something like that in the beginning.
Yeah, rolling her eyes, her adventures and misadventures. Oh, right. Bill, what's that by your fly? Hey, what's all this dry cleaning?
And you need a Carlton the doorman character, who kind of appears regularly. All that. I guess that could be, I don't know, one of the former Bob Rubin or somebody like that.
Now, you can try and entertain us all you want, but I know for a fact, have you got more money now than when you were a little boy? Right, so where did the money come from? Corruption. How can you be a Republican witness, which is a necessary part of the congressional procedure, and not call yourself, I use this word deliberately, a terrorist?
Yeah, I mean, we're laughing about it, but in the moment, I actually made a mistake. I got so caught up in whether or not what she was saying to me was true that I forgot to just say to her, it's none of your business whether I make money or not. And you wouldn't ask that question of any other kind of journalist. Like, did you get a book deal out of this story you're telling us about? I mean, nobody would ask that question normally. So that was absurd. And the way they all use exactly the same phrases when they talk to you is incredible. In the case of that hearing I think you're referring to, the cherry-picked, spoon-fed evidence, I must have heard that a million times since the beginning of the Twitter files.
What I imagine must be interesting about an experience appearing at that congressional hearing is that something that, for me at least, usually feels abstract, like corruption, the way that information is manipulated, smearing of opponents. Like sometimes we encounter these things, sometimes we're even personally subject to it. But to actually be within the machine, did it make somehow more visceral, personal and emotional your broad sense that there is entrenched corruption taking place?
Yeah, it was a little bit of an eye-opening moment for me. I mean, I've obviously been doing this for a long time and seen a lot of crazy things in my lifetime, so I'm not surprised when politicians are corrupt, but it was very shocking the degree to which they didn't even think about engaging with the material. It was just pure attack from the very, very beginning. And then, as you noted, every time I tried to answer a question, it was just reclaiming my time. You know how this works. You don't get to talk over and over again. And that was a little shocking.
Yeah, I suppose the danger is that if it were not a subject that I were personally invested in, I wouldn't inquire. And yet, what is revealed is the MO of the institutions, that it presents itself as an objective and investigative process, when in fact it's a propagandist and condemnatory process that's, it's in a sense, designed to help us reach the favorable conclusions that it has already predetermined, as evidenced by the use of the phrases like spoon-fed and cherry-picked. They already have an agenda. They don't listen to you. They smear rather than investigate. And I suppose this must be happening continually elsewhere and is symptomatic of a deeper malaise that won't be as easy to observe elsewhere. As the ongoing Twitter revelations continue to be released, do you feel that at this point it's just further augmentation of the ideas of corruption that were sort of present in the first imprimatur, or do you feel that it's sort of evolving? Is there anything like new and interesting, and how does it relate to things like our personal deal over here at Rumble, where we're subject to some attacks? And sometimes I feel like, oh well, yeah, I guess there are a lot of people that are right wing on this platform. That's kind of difficult to deny, and also that is allowed. People are allowed to be right wing. That's one of the things people are allowed to be in the world. You know, and what do you think about the sort of TikTok congressional hearings? And because they seem to also be sort of like an odd combination of utterly inept and biased and corrupt, because all the things that are being alleged of TikTok are applicable with the American state's relationship with US social media sites.
Yeah, I mean, we are still finding stuff that speaks directly to all the things that you're talking about. For instance, we found a whole bunch of communications just recently about in preparation for a hubbub they were all having at the Aspen Institute in 2021, where they were discussing ideas like the Restrict Act, which is being proposed for, in response to TikTok. There's, I guess, the European Digital Services Act, or whatever they call it, that they're thinking about for the EU. All the ideas in both of these bills are sort of wish lists that have been passed around in this community for a long time. The governments want absolute, full and complete access to all data that these platforms provide. And then they want a couple of other things that are really important. They want to have the authority to come in and moderate, or at least be part of the process of moderation. And they also want for people who are called like trusted flaggers. That's how it's described in the European law. They want those folks to have access to these platforms as well. And what they mean by that are these sort of outside quasi-governmental agencies who tell these platforms what they can and cannot print about things like vaccine safety, right? And then we found out more about that, where they're openly talking about censoring true information. So yeah, we're still finding out a lot of stuff about this, and I think there is more to find, unfortunately, which is kind of disturbing.
I've not heard a maxim more disturbing lately than a trusted flagger. If someone comes to me claiming that they're a trusted flagger, I think I'd be more at ease with someone who announced themselves as a paedophile. It just sounds like a disturbing thing to call yourself or to set
Absolutely.
up.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's in there. That's in the Digital Services Act. If you look at the bill, there's a whole list of things that would apply to the various different types of companies, and one of them is sort of access for trusted flaggers. Twitter has its own language that's similar to that. They have people they call trusted partners, who determine for them, who are allowed to make determinations about content, or whose determinations they will take seriously. So yeah, I mean, this is all it's straight out of 1984, all this stuff. The language, yes.
This is my time. I'm reclaiming my time.
It's my time. Please do not interrupt me.
This is my time. How dare you? How much money did you make during that time you were talking just then? Where did you get it? You and that bastard Schellenberger, a dangerous, dangerous, stinking terrorist, and you don't wash properly either, I don't imagine. Matt, Thanks. It's good fun, wasn't it? I said I was going to do it at the beginning of the show, and then I thought I'm not going to do it because I respect Matt too much. But then I thought, no, it will be funny, so I did do it. That was my process. Hey, the EU apparently are introducing legislation that means that what was covert is now becoming sort of overt, where they're sort of saying platforms like Rumble, we're just going to shut them down and ban them from EU states, which doesn't include Britain anymore, as a matter of fact. So, to hell with them. But it's interesting, isn't it, that they are essentially just going to legislate against free speech because they have to. And one of the ways they can do that is saying that free speech is a code for racism or hate speech or whatever. And of course, there is such a thing as racism and hate speech. But what we continually say is we want to use these platforms to tell the truth and attack powerful institutions, and also to have the ability to speculate and have fun and joke and all those kind of things, but not really to hurt people. I hate the idea that someone would be hurt as a result of my words. So what do you think? Do you think, Matt, that we're going to see more and more overt legislation and maneuvering to shut down the ability to communicate openly in the way that these platforms facilitate?
Absolutely. That's one of their primary goals, is to make it impossible for people to have unfettered communication. If you look at the Digital Services Act, it's a lot like the recommendations of the Aspen Institute, and it's got a lot in common with the Restrict Act here in the States. When you look at the sections about giving the government access to data, what they really mean by that is they want everything, every kind of content that's created on the platform has to be done in a format that can be algorithmically searched. So even video, or if you have a conversational platform, they have to be able to automatically generate a transcript quickly, so that whatever AI they're attaching to surveil and monitor people has to be able to look out for keywords quickly. And it's funny, we did a thing about this thing called the Virality Project, and they were upset. One of the things they were upset about when they were reviewing COVID information was that a worldwide freedom rally that was held last year, I think, or 2 years ago in Europe, had been organized on Telegram, where they couldn't search it, where they didn't know it was coming. And so that's part of their thinking. We don't want any more of those spaces where we can't search. We want everything searchable, and we want it instantly searchable.
So it continues to be about control, and they continue to present it as about safety. We're trying to protect you has become, it is actually, we're trying to control you. When you say that about AI and a kind of pressuring to put data into searchable formats, it makes me feel that AI will of course be used to generate commercial opportunity by creating very particular and bespoke advertisements, but also it's going to be utilized to exert more control. And while it might start as a resource that's accessible to all and fun for everyone, it will quickly, like water, find its level as a tool of commerce and of the state. So there is in spite of however they frame the problems within platforms like TikTok or Facebook or Rumble, free speech has to be a kind of absolute principle, because the alternative is predicated on a centralized authority. And when you see even terms like cherry pick and spoon fed starting to emerge, or build back better, it's that these are the indicators that centralized authority is at work. And like you said, those various bills all bear the same hallmarks. So you have to have some absolute principles, don't you, Matt?
Yes, I think so. And I think what's really striking about all the people who are backing these censorship measures is that they have absolutely no understanding of what the principle of free speech is all about. The whole idea that you could have a centralized sort of truth-deciding authority is completely counter to every Enlightenment idea about what speech is for. You can't have a government body that decides fact and fiction. We don't believe that that's actually possible. What we believe is that people freely discuss things, and they arrive at a kind of truth together. Factual truth is always a moving target in journalism, but as a society, you can't just decide what's true and what's not true, because as we learn, even scientific fact changes constantly. So if you don't allow free speech, if you don't allow weirdos and people who are crackpots to have their say, because they're right a lot of the time. Like you just never know, right? And the folks who want to get rid of all of that are deluded and extremely dangerous people, because what they believe is that they have all the answers. Like we're the experts, we know, and never mind what you think, which is terrifying.
Their certainty is terrifying, and certainty is often an indicator of the psychopath, I would say. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the tremendous work you're doing. Thank you for enduring that awful experience and doing so with such good grace and good humor. Don't berate yourself for not saying it's none of your business. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who made you Lady Jesus? Was it Hillary Clinton? And thanks for being such a great asset for our show and a great person to work with. Cheers, Matt.
Of course. Thanks, Russell. Have a good one. Gareth, take care.
Oh, cheers.
Take care, mate. Matt is the editor of Racket News on so-called aggregating news site Substack. Thanks, you lot.
Well, did you enjoy that conversation? Do you agree with me that Matt Taibbi is an important voice in this conversation? What other journalists do you go to? Make suggestions in the comment and chat. We care about your voice. Thank you very much for watching us. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at either of these. Turn on the notification bell and subscribe right now. But more important than any of this stuff is that you please stay free.